Few words first.
It was great to be part of this effort in the license restoration program that was initiated with the help of the mayor of the city of Providence and the council president, Elorza Miller. So my standard line is, imagine yourself without a license and trying to go about your daily lives. And so it's something to take into consideration, those who are less fortunate than ourselves. It's something that we've really been doing on the court since I've been here for over 30 years. So finally it's been into a regular program because of the efforts of the mayor. So I want to congratulate the mayor and the city administration on their efforts to help those who are less fortunate than ourselves. And hopefully take them along with a fruitful and enjoyable life, driving a car without worrying about the big red lights going on behind them and pulling them over. So with that, Mayor.
All right. Well, thank you, Judge. You know, this is a program that we've been working on for a long time, and like everything else, it takes a lot of partners to make it work. I want to thank Judge Caprio. He's been doing this work for 30 years, and so when he was approached about this, he was very welcoming and open to it. So we appreciate that, Judge. You know, what we found out about this process is that if you are ready to take all the steps to get your license back, the process is so complicated, it's so cumbersome that it's almost impossible for folks to do it on their own. In fact, it's still very difficult even when they have a lawyer. So we created this program to provide the professional services, the legal services, and to connect folks who need the services to folks that can help them navigate the process. And this program has been extremely successful, in fact, beyond our wildest dreams. And all we want to do is help people get their licenses back. The story that we heard today, Dorian, we're so proud of you. After the judge finished speaking, I wanted to clap. I'm just so proud of you, the fact that you've taken all these steps, and I hope that we're able to help a lot more folks just like you over the coming years to get their license back. It's been 15 years since you had your license. I hope that with this step, you're going to be better able to just go about your life and do what you need to do, just like all of us. Without having to deal with that constant burden of what happens if I were to get pulled over. So congratulations, and we're so happy to do this.
We'll have Jen say a few words.
It's really an honor and a privilege to be representing Noelle and her family and many, many others who simply need to take this step to get the driver's license restored. And really, court fines and fees is a national issue. It's being addressed here aggressively in Providence, thanks to the mayor and Judge Caprio and others who have worked on this project. And we need to get people able to drive legally and safely to work in order that they can fulfill the promise of their lives. It's that simple, and it's really an honor to be part of the program.
We'll have Noelle say a few words.
Yes, I'd like to thank Mayor Elorza, Judge Caprio, and my attorney Jen for helping me. This is going to open up many doors for me. I've been able to move and do things that I haven't been able to do in the last 15 years safely. I want to cry. But thank you guys. Really, thank you.
Awesome. We'll open it up for just a few questions. We have a few minutes here.
Judge, ironically, after I get done here, I have to take care of this. Now, perhaps because of the lack of organization of my vast enterprise, on a serious note...
Qualify for the program.
I think there's a lot of people in this room who may have qualified for the program in one way. But one of the challenges is again, through my disorganization, this is a ticket that started at $25 and is now it was issued on October 24th and is now a $75 ticket. And what can be done from your perspective? And I understand you're not a legislator. You're here on a very human level to make the system approachable and better for people. And you've done that for years. But what's your comment about these rapidly escalating fines, which often are what precipitates folks ending up here trying to get their license back?
The legislation provides that if the ticket is not paid within 14 days, it doubles. And if it's not paid within 28 days, it triples. That's what the legislation says. I can't remember of one instance in my 30 years on the bench where I imposed a triple fine. So routinely, I think the judges on our court take that into consideration. But the question is that a revenue enhancement issue, or is it a public safety issue? I'll leave you to make that decision. I have my own feelings on that. But more importantly is anyone that has ever attended a court proceeding would know that I always inquire as to a person's station in life. Are you married? Do you have children? Are you a single parent? How many children do you have? How old are the children? And in many instances, for example, the classic case is a person would be on public assistance and have 5 children. And that person has fines that have tripled and are $500. So what do? Do I have the license suspended so you can't drive the kids to school? So we have taken all of that into consideration. I might take this opportunity to say this. There are people from all over the world, because of social media, that send in donations to the Providence Municipal Court and ask that the court use those donations to help those who are less able to pay, who are incurring tough times. And we call those funds the Philomena Fund. I named it after my mom. And I use those funds very liberally for people who cannot afford to pay their fines, so their licenses will not be suspended. And in some instances, we actually have people leave the court by giving them a cash donation to help them buy food for their children. So the court operates from a different perspective than many people would believe.
But
We'll go-
well, I was just say, in closing, your work has been outstanding in this area, but would you take an opportunity to urge the legislature to perhaps dial back some of these doubling and tripling fees?
Well, I'll answer it this way, that I am available to testify whenever called.
All right, we'll
sir.
go here.
To your knowledge, or anyone can answer this, has anyone whose license been restored had it taken away again, to your knowledge, since this started?
No, not since the program has started. One of the issues that we do have is that sometimes we're in a bit of a race against the clock, because if someone is without a valid driver's license and they do have to drive to work or something along those lines and they get pulled over, they may incur an additional summons. So we're moving as fast as we can in this program to ensure that people are safely restored to their driving privilege so they can drive legally.
Can I ask
Yeah.
one?
Well, and I'll just say, so I don't think there's one person among us who hasn't, faced the same thing. We get a ticket, we forget to pay it in time, before you know it, we pay 75 instead of 25. For so many of us, we just pay the 75 because we have it. But there's so many people that once it gets to 75 or beyond that, you just don't have the money to pay for it. So now you're stuck. What do you do? Even if at some point down the line you get the 75, or maybe it's $200 by then. Do you just show up at court? Do you just get it taken care of? There might be a bench warrant out for you. And so that's what this program does for people who want to get their license back and are ready to go through the process. Now you have someone who can walk you through it, whereas it would be impossible to do on your own.
One more.
Yeah, I saw in the press release that there were 800 applications. You've gone through, I believe, 60 so far. Does that show that this is a pretty, selective process? What does that, process look like going through all of those applications?
So actually, it's a first come first serve type of process. As people sign up and they're ready to address the issues, there are a lot of complicated aspects to a number of these cases where there may be tickets in more than one community and with the traffic tribunal, and then the final step, the restoration at the DMV. So we're just working our way through the 800 folks who've raised their hand and said, "Help me," are the tip of the iceberg. This is a much broader societal issue where fines and fees do mount up. And then when we were speaking this morning, Noelle shared with me, it became overwhelming, literally, which is why for over a decade, she simply kind of withdrew from the process. And so hopefully, as people see that there is a pathway forward, they will sign up, and I feel we're going to be doing this for a very long time. And hopefully making some structural changes and systemic changes so that these fines and fees will not mount up in that way in the future. But that takes some law reform in addition to some work on the ground.
All right, last two here.
I'm glad that you're bringing awareness to this, but for critics of this program who might say, does this question accountability, what would your response be to that kind of mentality?
So it's actually not an accountability question if someone actually, for example, many of our clients are unaware that their license has been suspended. They get pulled over in some routine manner, and then they're informed, "Oh, your license was suspended, but because of the housing crisis, you moved 3 times since that letter was sent to your old address. So really for most of the folks that we're working with, there's a willingness to be and a desire to be driving legally and safely, but there is not a path procedurally or economically to get there.
I also think it's important to point out that the people in this program, inside Nick Horton from Open Doors, have already been punished, sanctioned for a very long time. And so this is just merely taking that into account and agreeing that there's no need for the suspension to be indefinite.
Awesome. All right,
I'd
thank
like
you
to
all so
thank
much.
everybody at Open Doors for this opportunity as well.
Awesome.
How much money just has been used so far for the program? Does anybody know?
I can get back to you on that if we don't have it. Yeah, I can get back to you on that. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.